Minecraft Superflat. A world of just 3 layers of dirt stacked on top of a layer of bedrock. Not much else besides slimes, monsters when it hits nighttime, and your odd few animals inside of the villages that sprawl over the landscape. No end portal. Getting to the nether is hard. Rabbits don't spawn here. Normal squid don't spawn here. Can't even get axolotls as fun little pets. Unless you go back in to the past versions of the game and start your world there. I wanted to try it. I wanted to see what it would be like to have a survival world just on Superflat. No mountains, no valleys, no caverns, no ores buried underneath the ground. Nothing. A few trees, villages, and a dream. Let's see what we can do with this. Hope you guys enjoy. Hey there, you ever think to yourself, what can I do to help this really awesome YouTuber I just found? Just walk on right over here and click the subscribe button. It would mean a lot. Thanks. Now enjoy your video. Upon spawning into this new foreign world, I decided to turn on the bonus chest just to give me a little bit of a boost. Now this is a version of Minecraft way back when rabbits could still spawn and squid could still spawn on Superflat. My plan being initially to get every version of the rabbit before swapping to the next version of Minecraft and moving on to axolotls. I didn't get every rabbit spawn, I got a few. I didn't get every color, I didn't want to be here all day, because I'll be honest, this version of Minecraft was rough. The combat system was different, villages weren't that great, there was no iron golems, it was hard to get a jump start in this version of the game. These slimes were all over me, and honestly it was tough. Farming was okay. I decided to get a bunch of animals and crops set up, but the villages didn't really have all that many chests, and the chests that there were in these 2 villages I spawned next to weren't great. I didn't have any blacksmith spawns. I had to venture out far and wide to get some of those. But I wanted the rabbits, and initially I wanted the squid, but getting a name tag was going to take a lot, so I decided to skip out on that. My first steps when I finally got to the village was to just make your basic set of tools, keep the slimes off me best I could, get some torches from around the town since I didn't have access to coal at the moment, and trees were few and far between. I still needed saplings, but I decided to just make a big farm. The farms that spawn in villages naturally aren't all that great, so I emptied out all the ones that I had around me and made my own farm, initially with no wall, but slimes and villagers would get in and they'd ruin things, so I decided to build a big wall around it just to keep me extra safe. The slimes were annoying to deal with, but my plans for them would come later on to try and stop them from really getting anywhere near me and my buildings. So that had to wait for now, and I just had to deal with it. But after making the farm, I decided to dig down and dig a little bunker underneath, because initially this was going to be my animal farm. This was going to be where I kept the rabbits and the cows and the sheep and the pigs, because when I had initially tried this challenge before this world, I didn't do the rabbit squid update and then the axolotl update and then the structures update. I just did the baseline 1.19.4 I believe update, and it was really tough sometimes getting some of the animals, so I wanted to make sure my farm was as good as it could be before I even moved on to the future versions of the game, when things would really start to get crazy. Sheep especially I really wanted, because in the future we'd be breeding villagers and we needed plenty of beds. So I just made my farms as best I could with the resources that I did have. Now these villages weren't great for much, but they did have a lot of wood and cobblestone, so that helped out a ton. I ended up getting only 3 color variations of the rabbit. I got the black and white spotted, I got the brown with the kind of white undertones, and then I just got the all black. Now as cool as it would have been to get the cream color, the all white, the all brown, killing the animals around my spawn and around my base and venturing out to try and find the rabbits was getting more and more irritating, because the slimes would just be right on top of you. Now my next goal, after getting a stable source of food and getting my animals figured out, you know, my chickens, cows, etc., was I wanted to make it so that slimes and monsters couldn't spawn anywhere near me. So initially, my big idea was to destroy in a circle around my village base camp, a just 128 by 128 circle, just chasm down to bedrock, because mobs can't spawn on bedrock. So initially that was my goal, but it was frustrating to say the least. So I downsized to about a 64 by 64. 64 by 64 from the center. So it ended up being 128. But initially I wanted to do like 200, whatever the math is, you know. So very large circle, but I ended up downsizing. I started out destroying all of the buildings by hand, but that was getting tiresome, so I decided to just make flint and steel with the little iron I had, and just burned a lot of the buildings down to jumpstart the process. Now, I don't have much footage of me digging out this circle, because it wasn't very entertaining, and this world had started right in the peak of my illness, so not a lot was recorded. But with this huge circle, which then ended up becoming a square because getting the math down for the circular shape was quite a lot, slimes wouldn't be able to spawn in the slime chunks that took place within that bedrock square, and regular mobs wouldn't be able to get in there either. And then after I had dug that out, I had plans to expand in the future when I had more tools that would make it a little bit easier on me, but for now I was just going to cover another 64 blocks out in a big ring around my base with water, because that would also stop mobs and slimes from spawning, and any bare blocks that were around then would just be covered in slabs. Now, I did get lucky and I did find saplings in one of the blacksmith chests that I found in a village a little bit in like northeast of where my current village is, so I had access to wood, and so all of this was going to be easy to do. It was just going to be very boring. So the plan was the anti-slime initiative, pretty much. I didn't want slimes there, and I didn't want monsters to be able to spawn there either, because then I could make a mob spawner. Now, the reason I made the mob spawner on this patch of the game, which was a mistake looking back, was because I did want to get the squid initially, like I said, since regular squid don't spawn in Superflat worlds anymore. Only the glowing squids do. So I wanted a name tag. Now, the only way I could think about getting a name tag was trading monster materials to a cleric to get emeralds, and then trading up emeralds with a librarian to eventually get a name tag. But that was going to take way too long. And I decided that if my base wasn't even figured out yet, I didn't know where a squid with name tag on it would go. So I just decided to forego the squid. You know, who really needs a regular squid in their Superflat world anyways? Maybe in the future when I try this challenge again, but either in different block structures, you know, not just dirt, not just bedrock, not just 4 layers, and maybe hardcore, we could look to do something with the squid, but for now, starting off, I didn't really mind. After getting a majority of the slabs set up, the water barrier, and the hole that I've dug myself all lined up, mobs weren't really an issue. Now there were slimes anymore. The one issue I was still having was endermen were finding their way into my base because they could teleport, and they didn't like the water, so if they touched the water, they'd just teleport into my base. And since my base is made out of a majority of dirt, they could easily pick it up, and this resulted in a bunch of holes all throughout my farms, little spaces for rabbits to get into other pens or to escape, same with the chickens, and it was overall just not a great time. My crop farm actually, throughout this video, just deteriorates more and more because of these endermen and these rabbits getting in, and all this jumping onto my plowed land made it pretty hard, almost impossible for me to maintain that crop field. Thankfully, I had plenty of food already, so I wasn't doing too bad. I could kill the animals that I needed to. Rabbits breed like crazy in this version of Minecraft, so it was fine for now to not have a crop field, but definitely something I need to revisit in the later updates. But I had to fix the Enderman problem, and some of that started with having to replace some of these blocks with just not dirt, and finding a way to kill these Endermen as fast as possible. I still only really had stone tools. I had some iron, but not enough for me to really feel like burning on any tools at the moment. But I decided to hold out on all these other issues for now and start on my mob farm because I wanted a steady stream of armor and weapons and whatnot, since the game version that I'm playing on, or the difficulty, is hard. The more I play, the higher the difficulty in my local vicinity gets, and the mobs will start to drop better and better stuff. So I wanted to get a mob farm set up ASAP, so I started on that. Now, the version of mob spawner I decided to go with was one that I found on YouTube that utilized a lot of the later Minecraft mechanics and coding, which didn't seem to work in this version of the game, such as trapdoors just on top of blocks, a lot of slabs. But currently, in the patch that I was in, slabs were let in light. I couldn't even place trapdoors just on top of slabs anyways. I'm pretty sure it was going to stop mobs from spawning in general, even if the slabs were upper block placement. So I had to end up going back and replacing all of these slabs after I was done building with full-on blocks, which was a bit rough. And I actually ended up building the wall too high, which resulted in Endermen being able to spawn, I guess, inside of the mob spawner. They would walk over the trapdoors thinking that they could walk there, and they would touch the water, teleport out, and then I was having an even worse time with Endermen in my base. And they were actually taking blocks out of the mob spawner walls themselves, which would result in light breaking through and actually slow down my mob spawner. I ended up fixing this, and like I said earlier in the video and in my past few videos that I've uploaded, it's been tough because I've been sick, so I haven't recorded everything that I've done. This being one of those situations, and earlier with the digging out of the hole was one of those situations. So I've decided to plug in some Photoshop drawings for you guys to kind of explain and show what I'm discussing, and hopefully it lines up. You know, these videos aren't going to be perfect. I'm still trying to get it worked out. But these illustrations should kind of show you what these things are doing, like what these mechanics are and where my brain's at during these playthroughs and during these moments. So with the trapdoors, mobs think that it's a full block, so they try to walk on top of it, but it's open, so they fall into the water, they get pushed down the tunnel. So this was still working on Endermen, so they would teleport out because they don't do well with the water. It hurts them, so they would teleport out, and they were just destroying things. So I had to climb back up and replace everything, bring it down a block lower. I was a little worried that this would stop witches from spawning, since I thought that they had villager hitboxes, which is like 2.5, almost like 3 blocks high, higher than the player hitbox. But I was still getting witches later on, so it didn't seem to really affect that. But my Enderman problem was a lot better now. And now that I had all the slabs finally placed in my base, I wasn't really having an issue with Enderman anymore. And now I had a fully functioning mob farm, which allowed me to get plenty of resources. Now, as I touched on earlier, my goal initially with the mob spawner and why I chose to do it in this version, which is, I feel like, a more similar version to like Bedrock. I read comments in the mob spawner tutorial afterwards, people discussing that, you know, do this for Bedrock because, you know, slabs let in light, or they can't work with the trapdoors, just ignore them because the spiders won't be a big issue anyways, etc. The reason I stuck with it on this patch, the patch being, you know, for rabbits and squids, I think it's like 1.8, I believe, is the patch that I'm on in the first part of this video, was I had the plans to get the squids, like I had explained, since they don't spawn and I needed name tags. So I wanted to get the drops from these mobs to trade with clerics in the nearby village to get emeralds and then level up the librarian, etc. Turns out I decided to just skip the squid because who needs a squid? So I really honestly wasted my time because I'm probably going to have to rebuild this mob spawner from scratch in like the next episode or two anyways, to get a more functioning one set up, because this one was okay and it was doing pretty well for itself, but I could definitely maximize it a lot more. So that's in the future, but that just goes to show you, or to explain kind of why I struggled with this more challenging version of a mob spawner and why it's given me so many issues. After the mob spawner was put in place and it was, working okay-ish, I decided to skip out on the last 3 color variations of the bunny rabbits, and I decided to skip out on the squid, which the reason I had this big pool set up was specifically for the squid to spawn in, but I was going to need it later on anyways. So then I jumped over to, I believe, patch 1.17, which was when axolotls were allowed to spawn in Superflat worlds, because I did really want those. I wanted every color variation, which would be easier for me to get since I could control where they spawned at. And then later on, when I could get access to name tags and build them a better home, I would release them from the buckets, since they would no longer despawn once I caught them with buckets. And I could breed them to get the blue rare one, because what a better flex. There's no better flex in the game than having a rare blue axolotl pet with a name tag on your Superflat world. So that was the plan. Now this was way easier than the original challenges that I had in 1.8, because I just had to smelt some stone, close it off to make it dark, and then axolotls were spawning like crazy. So I picked up one of every color, and then the white and pink one I picked up 2 just to have an extra one. And then I decided to skip forward to the 3rd and final step before we finally reach current Minecraft for Superflat. That final version being 1.18, I believe 0.1, I think 1.18 in general works, but this is when they allowed structures to spawn in Superflat. That means mine shafts, that means strongholds, you could get abandoned nether portals, you could get pillager outpost, and of course you could get regular villages. Now, the reason this was really important to me was that there were a lot of farms and a lot of resources that I wanted that would only be possible with this addition to my world, like a pillager farm for emeralds, right? Then I could do more raids as well if I wanted to, which would be fun. Access to nether portals easier. More resources from those abandoned nether portals was going to make it easier to set up nether farms and make things better just in the overworld in general. Mine shafts were okay. They gave me access to rails, and there's plenty of loot if you get lucky with a chest spawn in these mine shafts. But this was only possible because of when I generated my world, this allows the world to be at a certain height, which would allow these structures to spawn. And then the end portal, of course, necessary to beat the game. And then I could get an elytra in my Superflat world, which would be so sick. So all of this was, this first episode, while not necessarily the most entertaining, was just to kind of show you guys and explain how you could do this for yourselves if you wanted to. Because it's enjoyable once you get all of these past updates finished and you get what you want from them, and then you can jump into the current version of the game, and now you have access to the end portal and strongholds and dungeons and whatnot, all on a Superflat world, which many people don't even realize is possible. So this initial video was me just setting it up and kind of showing you guys how you could do it too. And if you have any questions about it, just feel free to leave a comment, and I'll reply to every single one of them and help you guys out, and give you the resources that I used as well. I just quickly, before ending the video, wanted to touch base on a few things as well about the channel and the outstanding support that I've received. The past 2 videos I've uploaded have gone absolutely crazy in terms of views and engagement. Reading comments from people on the Terraria video and that community has been great. The Minecraft community has been great in showing me love in terms of views and likes and impressions on these videos. It'd be great if you guys watch this, leave a comment and just, let me know any suggestions, or tell me your experience with Superflat or your experience with anything Minecraft related in general, just so I could get to know you guys better, because the people over on the Terraria videos have been doing that, and it's honestly great for everyone involved. It's a lot of fun for me to read. I think it's a lot of fun for you guys to be able to engage with a content creator that you watch as well. So it's been honestly insane. You know, I blew up from like 5 subs to I think I'm at 33 now, almost at 1,000 views in general on the channel. And I've only been doing this for a few weeks. So it's been absolutely insane. I absolutely love you guys for showing me that kind of support. The videos are starting to pick back up. I have a lot planned. I have a lot recorded that I need to edit and voice over. So this video, not necessarily a throwaway, but kind of a transitional video before we get into the meat and potatoes of a lot of what I have planned. You know, we still have the regular Minecraft survival series that I'm going to keep up with. I have plans for a hardcore world that, has honestly been a blast to play. It's super challenging, sometimes frustrating, but I know people really love watching hardcore, so I have that in the works for you guys. Terraria is still going strong. I have plans for some custom maps in both Terraria and Minecraft, some custom survival maps. There's mods as well that I have written down that I want to check out for you guys. But there's just so much coming your way that I hope you guys are excited to, witness and be able to watch finally. And even though I've been sick, I've still been trying to work as hard as I can to make sure that there's going to be a steady stream of content for you guys to watch. So I apologize for being slow the last few weeks, but I'm going to try to really pick it up for you guys as we head into April. But like I said many times throughout this video, this was kind of just an introduction piece to this new series that I have for you guys, being Superflat. And I have big plans for it, as well as big plans for the other series on the channel that are still going on, and new ones that I'm going to start bringing on in the next few weeks to months. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all of the love you've shown me on the other videos. Even if this one doesn't receive that much love, the last 2 videos alone are enough for me to ride out that high for the rest of the year. And it just shows me that making these videos and doing what I enjoy, it's possible to get somewhere with it. To be able to be a place for people to come together and discuss these games that they love, like Minecraft and Terraria, it's been a blast so far. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I apologize for being sort of slow-paced, but it's just the introduction. I have plenty planned for this world, and we're going to get into a lot of crazy things now that we have the perfect world generated. And we have everything that we want for this world. So, as always, guys, take care of yourself, take care of one another, and I'm going to see you guys in the next video. It might be a few days, might be a week, might be tomorrow, but I'll see you guys there. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.